Okay. So now we start with matchings, and this is the first example of something which is rather usual task in graph theory, which is finding some particular sets, either of edges or of vertices, which respect some condition and which are as big as possible in that graph. Okay? For instance, I give you an example which I will not touch, okay? Which will not be part of our theory. It is the one of dominating set, which is important for telecommunications, in the sense that think of having transmitters, okay? And you have you can think of them as vertices, and then you can put an edge between two of them if one is in the area covered by the other, okay? And then you might be interested in what is called a dominating set, which is a set of vertices such that every vertex either is in this set or is adjacent to a vertex of this set. Okay? And so you might think of switching on only the vertices of a dominating set, of a minimal dominating set, so that every vertex is covered by at least one transmitter. Then you have other problems. For instance, you might want to have transmitters which do not interfere, so you have to choose different frequency for different transmitters. Well, that will be covered by vertex coloring, a chapter which we will see, one of the big chapters of the course. Okay, so often you have this, that you want something from a certain set of edges or something from a certain set of vertices, and you want it in some cases as big as possible, in other cases as small as possible. So again, something which is in the idea of optimizing a certain condition. Okay, this is the first such problem, which is the problem of finding matchings. So, matching, the name itself says something. Taking things by pairs, okay? But formally, we have a subset M of the set of edges, and we call it a matching if its elements are links from roots and no two are adjacent in G. This means that these edges do not have an end in common. Okay? You see what I mean? So any such set of edges is called a matching. And
does it relate to the bipartite graph?
It is of particular interest in the bipartite graph, but it's not necessarily in the bipartite graph. Just look at this. Here I have something which is not opposed bipartite, and here the thick lines show one particular matching, meaning a set of edges, okay, such that no two of them have an end in common. Okay. Also here you have a set of edges, not two of which have an end in common. Okay, this is called a matching. If from a matching I take away one edge, for instance, it's still a matching. Okay, it is still a set of edges with no ends in common. And what we try to find is as big a matching as possible. There are two adjectives which are important here, but now I come to that. A matching M is said to saturate a vertex V, and V is said to be M saturated if some edge of this matching M is incident with V. Otherwise, V is M unsaturated. So here, for instance, if you take M to be this set of thick edges, then V4 is M saturated, for instance, V8 is M saturated, but V5 and V2 are M unsaturated, okay? If every vertex of G is M saturated, then the matching is said to be perfect, okay? M is a maximum matching if G has no matching M prime with number of elements in M prime greater than number of elements in M. Cardinality of M prime greater than cardinality of M. Here I want to say the authors always are very much interested in maximum or minimum. But there is also another type of things. It's maximal or minimal, which is different in the sense that I might have matching which is maximal, meaning that if you add an edge, it will not be anymore a matching because it touches the end of some already present edge. Okay, but it might not be maximum. Okay, maximum looks at the number of elements. Okay, and just that, and so it is maximum if there is no, in the same graph, there is no other matching which has more elements. Maximal is different. We'll see some examples going on. Okay. If you have that a matching is perfect, necessarily it is maximum because every vertex is unsaturated, and so you surely have no what's the number of elements in a perfect matching? It's the number of vertices divided by 2. Okay, and so of course you cannot have any matching with more than me divided by 2 elements. Okay. For knowing whether matching is maximum or not, we have this idea of M alternating path. So you have a fixed matching M, and you have a path. You say that that path is M alternating in G if the edges of the path are alternatively outside, inside, outside, inside the matching. Okay? So, for instance, if you do this V5, V8, V1, V2, V6, okay, in the graph of figure. This off. No, I can see above, so V5, it's here, and then V8. V5, V8 is not in M. V8, V1 is in M. V1 with V7 is not, V7, V6 is in. And so you alternate not being inside the matching. Okay? This is an M alternating path. An M augmenting path is an M alternating path whose origin and terminus are M unsaturated. Okay? And you have this theorem, a matching M is maximum if and only if, so a good characterization if and only if G contains no M augmenting path. The idea on one side of the proof is that if you have an M alternating path like that, so such that the initial edge is not, the following edge is in, the following is not in M, the following one is in, and so on and so forth, and at the end you end up with one edge again, like at the beginning, which is not inside the matching. Then what you can do is to switch everything inside this path, okay? And so to say, okay, now I will put inside the so where this is not saturated. So this is unsaturated because there is an edge of the matching adjacent to it, incident to it. This also, and this also. But if these two are not saturated, it means that also the other edges coming here are not in the matching. So I can change the matching along this path by putting this inside the matching, this inside, and so from 2, in this case, I go to 3, and so I could make a matching with one edge more than the previous one. And so that would show that the one I had, the one in red, was not maximum because I can find one with one edge more than it, okay? So, on one way it's easy and the idea is that this. On the other way, it's not so easy. Okay, let's see here. I would like to have a look at these. These two. Okay, this is a perfect matching. Okay, and yeah, actually here it's easy to find other perfect matchings. I would like to see whether I can have one which is maximal but not maximal. Okay, look here. So here you have a perfect matching, so obviously it is maximum, and it has 4 edges inside. Now I show you a matching which is maximal but not maximum. So I copy it. Here. Okay, so I don't repeat what is already on the book, but I show you, for instance, this. Can you see this color or not? Maybe green is better. No, it's same. I put it in red, okay? Is this a matching? Sure it is, okay? Pi because no two edges, no two red edges have an end in common. Is it maximal? Yes, why? Because if I add any edge is has already an end in common with one of these red edges. Are you with me? I cannot add this, not 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 this, and not this, because all of them have at least one end in common with a red edge, okay? So this is maximal, in the sense there is no other matching containing it. But it is not maximum. Why? Because it has 3 edges, while that perfect matching there has 4 edges, okay? So please keep in mind this difference, okay, between maximum and maximal. All right. That's my pictures. Okay. Okay, you can rather easily, I would say, solve 5.1.1a, okay? I'm not interested in part B. And less easy is 5.1.2, but try, please try to solve both of them, okay? And there is also this interesting idea. Here I just want a little bit of this 5.1.5, which is what a k-factor is. What is a k-factor of graph G? It is a k-regular spanning subgraph of G. K-regular, what does k-regular mean? It means that every vertex has degree k. What does spanning mean? That all vertices are inside, okay? Nobody says that it should be connected. Could have, and in general has, several connected components. Just think that if you take a perfect matching, that is exactly a one factor. A perfect matching is a one factor y. If you take here we have a perfect matching, okay? So it is a subgraph given by these 4 edges. What's the degree of each edge? Exactly 1. So it is 1 regular. Does any vertex not belong to the ends of this? No, every edge belongs. This is a perfect matching, and it's exactly the meaning of a perfect matching, okay? And so this is a one factor of this particular graph. So if you have a perfect matching of a graph, then you you have one factor. What about 2 factors? For instance, can you find 2 factors of the 3 cube? So, can you find subgraphs regular of degree 2? What does that mean? A bunch of cycles, okay? Such that every vertex belongs to this subgraph. Can you find? Can anybody come and do it at the blackboard, for instance? what's the problem? What is a two-factor? So a two-factor is a bunch of cycles, okay, covering all vertices. It's not just one cycle. I'm not saying a Hamilton cycle, okay? Even if a Hamilton cycle would be all right, okay? And by the way, yes, if you have a Hamilton cycle, it's all right. It touches every vertex, and every vertex has degree. Inside this subgraph, every vertex has degree 2. So I think that in the 3 cube there are quite a lot of 2 cycles. Tell me? Oh, come on, yeah! Yes. Exactly this is what I had in mind myself. Thank you. But there is also a Hamilton cycle as a possibility. So something like this. Okay? For instance. Or here and there are quite a lot of 2 factors. Okay? So that is, then you have 2 factors. What about this? Can you have 2 factors in that bipartite graph? Oh, okay. Again, you're faced with what? A problem with 2 different faces. Yes, there is. In that case, our friend there has solved. Comes to the blackboard, traces the 2 factor, goes back. Okay? A different thing is to say there is none, because you must give the reason why not. Note that this is bipartite, okay? The lady here loves bipartite graphs, and so she will love this problem, okay? So this is a bipartite graph, and this says quite a lot about the possible cycles that you have inside. Do I give an answer, or would you like to think about that by yourself? I give you an answer on the left one. This is nice, and I leave it to you. I give an answer on this. Here, what do you think? Is there or is there not a 2 cycle? Who votes? Yes, there is one. But I can see it. Or, okay. Who votes? No, it's not possible to have it. Okay. Can you try to say a reason? Why not?
The left one.
This one.
Yeah, there is. There are many.
No.
Like I think there should.
Maybe you are not clear with the idea of what the 2 cycle is. 2 factor is, sorry. This one, okay?
Oh, no.
I give a reason why not. If you have a 2 factor, then surely you must have these edges here. Why? Because if you have some vertices of degree 2, surely the 2 edges incident to that edge, to that vertex, must be inside the two factor. Okay? So, necessarily, you must have this edge, you must have this edge, you must have this edge, and so your subgraph has a vertex with degree 3. So, it's not possible to have a two-cycle inside this. Okay? For this, it's a bit more tricky. Think about that. Okay? By the way, we had another interesting problem. It was this, to see whether it was possible to have or not to have a Eulerian graph with an odd number of vertices. Has anybody tried that? I don't remember where it was, but it was in the previous chapter. Does there exist a graph which is Eulerian, so it contains a Eulerian tour, an Euler tour, but with an odd number of vertices? If not, explain why it's not possible. If yes, draw one. Try that, okay? Again. Next time I will solve all of these, and so I will spoil the pleasure of finding a solution by yourself. So, if a tree has only two vertices of degree 1, it is necessarily a path. Can you find an Eulerian graph with an odd number of vertices? Is this particular graph, does this particular graph have at least one two-factor? These are the things which I will, for which I will give the solution next time. Okay. Now we go to bipartite graphs. So Pakistan will be happy. Okay. For any set of vertices, define the neighbor set of S to be the set of all vertices adjacent to vertices in S. Okay. This set is denoted like this. All right. And G of S. Now suppose that G is a bipartite graph and that we have the bipartition XY. In many applications, one wishes to find a matching of G that saturates every vertex in X. An example is the personal assignment problem. And yes, okay, we'll see that as an exercise. And here we have a necessary and sufficient condition for the existence of such matching. Okay? So, let G be a bipartite graph with bipartition XY. Then G contains a matching that saturates every vertex in X, if and only if the number of vertices in the neighbor set of S is greater than or equal to the number of elements in S itself for all possible subsets of the set X of the bipartition. Okay? And again, this is more useful for negative answers than for positive ones. Okay? Anyway, it is an if and only if, so it's all right. Okay? You can check if you find for all subsets of X that you have this inequality, then you can be sure that there is a matching saturating every vertex in X. Again, I don't need any proof on this. If you have a K regular bipartite graph with K greater than 0, then G has a perfect matching. And this can be seen as a corollary of the previous theorem. And it is known as the Marius theorem, which says you have a village in which every girl knows exactly K boys and every boy knows exactly K girls. That's the only thing you know. Then the number of friends, of male friends of every girl is K, and the same K is the number of female friends of every boy. Then the theorem grants that there is at least one perfect matching, meaning one boy, one girl, one boy, one girl, okay. So everybody can build a family. All right. And now we go to something, again, something which we want to, in this case, minimize. We wanted to maximize the matching. Here we want to minimize a covering. What is a covering of a graph G? It is a subset of the set of vertices such that every edge of G has at least one end in K. A covering K is a minimum covering if G has no covering with with a smaller number of vertices. Okay. Where is this idea of covering useful? I give you a very low-level idea, but you might try to translate it into your own professional experience. The idea is you have a painting exhibition. Okay, paintings are along corridors mainly. You have also rooms, but you have also that they are disposed along the corridors of your museum. Okay, and you want to have walls protecting everything, seeing everything. Okay, and so you place the wards at the vertices, and of course you have a covering which is very expensive, which is put a ward at each vertex, all right? And so this is a covering, and so it's natural to think you want a minimum covering, okay? So you want to pay as few wards as it's possible, but you want all corridors to be watched by these wards. And so what you want is to make a covering, a minimum covering. In this case, for instance, you have a covering, so if you put wards here, then every corridor is actually watched, okay? It is also a minimum, not a minimum, a minimal covering, in the sense that if you take away one ward, there will be at least one corridor which is not watched, okay? If you take away this ward here, this corridor is watched, this corridor is watched, but this is not. So this is minimal in the sense that you cannot reduce it by taking a subset. Okay, if you take a proper subset, then it is no more a covering. It is not minimum. Why? Because there is a covering which is different, which has little to do with it, which has less elements, less vertices. So if you place your 5 guards here, you would cover all corridors, but you are wasting money because with 4 wards you would cover all the corridors all the same. Okay? Of course, also this is minimal, but it is also minimum. This is minimal, but not minimum. All right? Okay. And why in this we talk about these coverings in this moment, in this chapter, which is devoted to matchings. Let's see what happens. If K is a covering and M is a matching, then K contains at least one end of each of the edges in M. Can you see that? I have a covering, okay, and I have a matching. What's the possible relationship between the two? Sorry. What is a covering? A set of vertices such that every possible edge has at least one end in that set of vertices, okay? And non-empty matching, so with at least one edge, has at least one edge, and that edge, by what we have said, has a vertex, at least a vertex. That our matching is given just by one edge, okay? But this is one edge of the graph, and so the covering, you have a word on one, at least one of the two ends of this edge. Take another edge; it's another edge of the graph. So there is at least one vertex of the covering at one end of this edge, and so on and so forth. Okay. So what happens if you take an edge? How can we see that the number of elements in the matching is less than or equal to the number of elements in the covering? The idea is build an injective application from the matching to the covering. If I build an injective application from finite set X to finite set Y, then I'm sure that the number of elements in X is less than or equal to the number of elements in Y. Are you with me? The idea of injecting, it gives me exactly this. All right. So if I have a matching and I have a covering, if I can build an injective map from the edges of the matching to the vertices of the covering, I'm sure of that inequality. So what can I do? Since every edge has at least one vertex of the covering as one end, if it is one, just one end inside the covering, I take it, and that's all. If I have two of them, I choose arbitrarily one of the two. Okay? Can two edges point to the same vertex? No. Why? Because these edges are parts of the matching, and so no two edges of the matching have a common end. So it's not possible that they both point to the same vertex of the covering. So we have an injective application, an injective function from the set of elements of the matching to the set of elements of the covering. And therefore, the number of edges in M is less than or equal to the number of vertices in K. That's why we have the two notions together in the same chapter. And also, this holds for any matching, for any covering. And in particular, if you have maximal matching and a minimum covering, also for them this applies. And so the number of edges of a maximum matching is less than or equal to the number of vertices in a minimum covering. Okay? And in general, we do not have equality. And figure 5.4. No, 5.4. Where is it? Here, 5.4. What about here? Can we find a matching? Can we find a perfect matching, for instance? So we already have a minimum covering, okay, there. And I can build a perfect and so a maximum matching like this, for instance, okay? I'm sure that it's maximum because it's perfect. On the other hand, the covering given is this, all right? And in this case, I have that we have inequality, meaning that the number of edges in this maximum matching is strictly less than the number of vertices in this minimum covering, okay? And what about our application, which I said, this edge votes this vertex, this edge votes this vertex, this edge votes, say, this vertex here, and they cannot have both at the same vertex just because of the definition of matching. And so you have that it's less than or equal to. In this case, we have strictly less than. Okay? So it's easy to prove that we have less than or equal to. Showing that there is a case when we have strict inequality means it's not that we are silly and we cannot prove equality, it's that equality not always holds, okay? Sometimes it does, and it does if G is bipartite, okay? Let M be a matching, K be a covering, such that the two numbers of edges in M and of vertex in K are equal, then necessarily M is a maximum matching and K is a minimum covering. And in a bipartite graph, the number of edges in a maximum matching is equal to the number of vertices in a minimum covering, okay? So in a bipartite graph, that gives actually the equality, and that there the strict inequality holds exactly because that is not a bipartite graph. Okay, and finally for this chapter. We skip, and you just have quite a lot of things that you can say about these things, as you can see, but you just have to have a look at this. In a company, you have n workers, x1, x2, xn, and n jobs, y1, y2, yn, okay? And each worker is qualified for one or more of these jobs. Can all the men be assigned one man per job to jobs for which they are qualified? This is the personnel assignment problem. So how can you try to solve it? You construct a bipartite graph with that bipartition. Workers on one side and jobs on the other side, and you put an edge between a vertex of X and a vertex of Y, if and only if that particular worker is qualified for that particular job. And then what you want to find is whether or not there is a perfect matching, so that each worker has exactly one job, and each job is worked on by exactly one worker. Okay, so the problem of finding a perfect matching is you can apply to this, which is again a low-level type of problem, but I think that you might find in your professional experience something which is of the same kind. Okay, so